What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. You have your two hosts, myself, Alpha Dog Bets, and JD from Line Movers. But guys, we also have our good friend of the program, Stu from Monotone Football. Monotone, we're pumped to have you on. How are you today, brother? And happy Halloween.
I'm doing awesome. That production value. I mean, the way to get a guy fired up over here. I didn't know you guys brought the big guns today, but no, I'm feeling festive. You know, before this was just looking at the props, looking at the plays, nothing special. But now I'm feeling a little bit spooky for sure.
The spooky vibes are in the air. JD and I have no idea what we are for Halloween, but we're something. We threw something together, and we're excited to break down the slate for everybody today. We have a beautiful 5-game slate we're going to be breaking down. We got 4 college football games as well as 1 NFL Thursday night showdown. Before we get into the recap from yesterday, quickly to the comments. People are loving JD in the hottest country album photo outfit of the year. JD. Fire costume, my friend. Joe is here as well. What is up, Joe? We appreciate you being here. And Bill Norman is here, as always, into YouTube, saying, what's up, fellas? Amazing night last night. We appreciate you tuning in, as you always do, Bill. Fellas, as I said, we're going to quickly go into a quick recap of how everything did. And quick shout out to the producer, editor, whatever we want to call her, with the amazing graphics today. She did a fantastic job. JD, I'm going to start with you. I know you absolutely crushed it yesterday, so I'll let you take it away. How was your recap from last night?
Yeah, man, like it was a really good night. Oh yeah, my favorite play ever. Jacksonville State team total over. It cashes again. Like I said, just bet it every single week. But anyway, yeah, that one ended up being a huge sweat. That game did not go quite how I thought it would, but it actually did get there for us. See, before we go to the baseball game, what else did we talk about? We talked about some NBA games. I believe the LeBron point total went actually over.
Yep.
Talked about that. I believe the Jason Tatum points over. Cashed actually that one. Then the baseball game. I had the over there, which that was one of the easiest bets we ever could have made.
Yep.
I'm not going to go too far into that because Alpha, we know,
Hello.
Don't want to rub that in too much. But that 5th inning by the Yankees may have been the worst inning in the World Series ever.
Yeah.
But that was rough, man. But besides that, was a great night.
Yeah, I'm glad you had a good night. As you know, the Yankees were my final play to take me positive of the day. So seeing a 5-0 lead evaporate in that 5th inning to some disgusting defensive effort, some lack of focus, some terrible plays by this Yankee team. They deserve to lose. Yesterday should have been a game they won easily. They had it in the bag in the 5th inning, 5-0 lead. Ball hit to Anthony Rizzo. Just step on first. But he was unable to do so in the NBA. I nailed my Cavs pick. Celtics were a little disappointing, losing outright, but that was a hell of a game. Monotone, how did you do yesterday?
I mean, I did pretty good. I stayed away from the baseball action. I was rooting for the Yankees. Unfortunately, you guys did not get the win there. Now, it is good news for me, though, as a DC guy. You see the hat I got on right now. I mean, maybe Juan Soto wants to take a stroll back home, maybe. We may not be able to match those bank accounts, but hey, we drafted his brother. I don't know if that means anything, but we'll do a Giannis situation. We'll call him up to the bigs. We'll let him sit on the bench. I'm cool with that. I think everyone's cool with that. So that's my public plea right there. But yeah, pretty good night. I went into the NBA. I had Tatum points as well last night, so that was fun. Biggest bummer for me, Davion Mitchell. I was big on him for the Raptors. Got some steals, got some defensive props. This kid used to be one of the best defensive players in college. Did not get the job done, unfortunately. So no more Davion Mitchell for me, but besides that, a pretty good night.
Well, we love to hear that you had a big night. Not happy about Davion Mitchell, but well done otherwise. We love to hear everyone having a big night. Over to the comments one more time before we get into the real breakdown, the meat and potatoes of the show. We have Nick Castrucci, who's here every show. We appreciate you, Pork Chop. He's saying sorry for being late, fellas. Huge night for Moneyball Metrics Discord. We've been celebrating that already, Nick, so absolutely. Bill Norman, yet again, Moneyball Metrics is on fire. Do yourself a favor. Get in there. We have a promo code coming up later in the show, so you can get in a discount. We appreciate y'all. And Jay, you have made it. You're a little late, but you're here. We appreciate you tuning in, brother. All right, fellas. Well, like I said, we have a beautiful 5-game slate to break it down. Don't let our beautiful outfits, Ed Monotone's beautiful face distract you. Let's dive right in, guys. We're going to go right into the NCAA breakdown. First game we're going to be breaking down today is going to be, my opinion, the best game of the weekend. Ohio State coming in 6-1. They're 4th in the country. Going into Penn State, who is 3rd in the country, 7-0 on the year, and 4-0 in the Big Ten. A lot of big storylines in this game. Drew Aller's a little bit banged up. Is he going to go? How will Penn State fare against possibly the best defense in the nation in Ohio State? JD, we're going to start with you. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, man, just like you said, this is a really big game. I mean, massive game here. For me, one of the biggest keys here is the Ohio State actually like offensive line. We all know that it's like pretty banged up, and actually last week it actually got worse. And versus this Penn State actually defensive line, they're going to have a tough time. As far as trying to run the ball, they're going to have a very tough time. They're actually really going to have to pass it. I'm very interested to see like how that actually works out for them here. As far as Penn State, what everybody's wondering is, as far as actually is, it is actually far as that QB, it is actually who's going to play.
Yep.
From everything that I've read, as far as Drew Aller yesterday, he actually practiced and actually went through everything.
Yep.
So that tells me like he's like gonna play. They haven't obviously come out and said that yet, but if he's actually doing that, he's actually gonna play here. And you know, when I first went into this game, before looking at anything else, I was like the Penn State side is actually where I would like to like be here. And I normally don't actually go into an actual game like thinking that. Then as far as the model here, I was kind of surprised. I actually have Penn State as actually it's actually really only a 1-point dog here. So getting actually like 3.5, I think as far as the number there is actually definitely good. The thing for Penn State is they've been getting off to really slow and just honestly bad starts. So in this game, this is one that they're obviously going to have to start off playing like well. They're going to have to start off hot. You know, and I think that's going to be a really big actually like key here. But actually getting 3.5 here, I like just have to actually take that. I would go ahead and bet that now because I think this line is probably going to go down. It's probably going to close at actually just a flat 3. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to go ahead and take that now.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I feel the exact same way you do. I think this game ends within a field goal in either direction. It is a huge Big Ten game. It is huge for how the season will play out and for playoff implications. I do think that both teams' defenses will show up. And like you said, I do think Drew Aller is going to be the starting quarterback for Penn State this weekend. All reports are saying he was a full active participant yesterday. So to me, if he's doing that on Wednesday, he's pretty much a lock to be able to start in the game. I think Penn State is the better team as well. We've seen them play some great games this year. And on the other side, Ohio State has struggled pretty largely in their last 2 games. Against Nebraska last week, they definitely struggled. They won the game 21-17, but it was definitely not a no-sweat win for them. They were massive favorites in that game. They obviously did not cover the spread, and they were able to barely get the win at the end. So that did not really show me too much. Game before that, the Oregon game, we all saw that little lack of clock management on the team there. So to me, Penn State's the more complete team. I think they'll be able to keep this close, and this game ends in a field goal in either direction. Give me the plus 3.5. I agree with what JD said. Take it now before Aller is officially named the starter, because you will probably lose the hook on that 3, and the 3.5 is a key number that I'm absolutely going to be taking. Monotone, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, no, let's make it 3. I'm with you guys. That 3.5 is obviously huge. I think Alpha said it really well in the sense that I think no matter what side of this game you're on, I think we can all agree it's probably going to be a close one. It's probably going to be within a field goal. I think the only situation it gets crazy if Ohio State somehow gets a really big early lead, because that's when Penn State is obviously uncomfortable. But they have one of the best defenses in the nation. And obviously when you talk about a banged up offensive line, I think that's the way you beat this Ohio State team. You make Will Howard uncomfortable. We've seen what that looks like in the past. Some erratic throws can happen. Some turnovers can happen. Now you got a banged up O-line. You got a pass rush that's going to be coming for you all game. I think they can apply pressure on defense, and I think they can do just enough on offense. They don't really create explosive plays. They run the ball. It's a little bit more boring, but I think with Aller in there, I think he can give you that one-off 40-yard pass that you need to win this game. So I do like the Penn State side as well.
There we go. Let's see Warren have a big game, the tight end for Penn State. He's been unbelievable this year. They're even running the ball to a tight end, which you never see. His 7 carries on the year. So he's been getting hot as the season goes on. I think he's going to have a big performance, and all 3 of us are all on the same side here.
Yeah. One other thing, sorry, really quick. As far as they're actually tight end, I'm blanking on his name currently.
Warren.
Okay, yeah. His actual real exception prop, I don't know what it is currently, but if it's 5.5 or either actually under that, I would definitely go over.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
He's the guy they force feed all game long. That's exactly what I was just saying. They're even running him the ball right now. So you're going to see him get the ball in a lot of different ways this week. I love his receptions. Taking a look in more detail on Warren, he has 47 receptions in just 7 games this year. So if you break that down, that is a lot of receptions per game. Before we get into the second game, let's go over to the comments. Over to Nick Castrucci saying, I look like an old school bookie. I think I look like Andre Agassi or maybe a little Roger Federer, whichever you want. I'm one of those today. Over to KO Lock. Shout out Spencer, one of the Moneyball metric sharps, saying nasty that this game is not a night game. I agree. It being the noon kickoff is a little weird, but not going to lie, as somebody who lives and loves for the noon kickoff, I'm excited we get this game early. It will be fun with the full sun shining, then out early and to start our slate. AD Mac Pig, I think I said that correct, is saying either me or Jay-Z, me or JD look like LL Cool J. We will take it. We appreciate it, brother. JD, let's keep it moving. Mono, let's keep it moving. Second game that we're going to be covering today is going to be the Pitt Panthers taking on the SMU Mustangs coming into this game. Oh, I apologize. I did go out of order here, but we're going to go with that game. So we're going to be doing Pitt versus SMU in this game, guys. Quarterback Eli Holstein is the real X factor for me for Pitt. He's been good this year, and they are coming in off a massive win against Syracuse last week. That game should have been a lot closer than it was. However, Kyle McCord of Syracuse went all Kyle McCord of Syracuse. If you watch that game, you know exactly what I am talking about. I believe he threw 3 pick sixes in the first half, one of the worst performances I have seen in a very long time out of a quarterback. On the other side, SMU is coming in 7-1. They're the home team, and they're getting 7.5 points at home. Monotone, any action from you in this game?
Yeah, I like the dog as well. I think that's going to be my theme for today. Pittsburgh really impressed me earlier in the season. You mentioned Holstein being kind of the X factor, guy that can not only do it through the air, but on the ground. What really impressed me was how they dominated West Virginia earlier in the year. That kind of reminds me of a similar SMU matchup where they can score a lot of points and they're not doing too much to stop the pass on the other side. I think this kind of profiles with the high total as one of those high scoring games. And Pittsburgh has kind of shown me time after time that they can at least compete in these games. So at a number that's over 7, right? 7.5, you're getting that hook once again. I mean, I got to take the dog points on a team that I'm very confident can get the job done in offense. That running back tandem they have is great. I'm a big fan of Pittsburgh. I've been betting on them a lot this season. I definitely like them at a dog price here. And I probably don't hate the over as well. I haven't bet the total yet, but I think this is going to be a high-flying game.
I feel the exact same way you do on both accounts. I think this one is going to go over. I also like the Pitt side as well. If you're going to give me 7.5 points, give me that extra hook over the 7. I'm absolutely going to take it. To me, this is a very evenly matched game. I know that SMU has looked great against some of the teams they have played, but realistically, the teams they've beaten up on don't really impress me too much. I mean, Florida State, they beat 42-16, but feels like everybody and their grandmother can beat up on Florida State this year. That's nothing impressive. They beat up on Stanford, yet again, not the most impressive win for them. And most recently, they played at Duke last week, and they were only able to win in overtime by a point. So you're going to give me 7.5 points with this Pitt Panthers team. I am all over it. Give me Pitt, one of my favorite plays of the college football slate. JD, what do you like?
This is a pretty interesting game, and actually like a pretty interesting stat from last week. As far as actually turnovers goes, Pitt was +5. That was just a crazy game.
It was.
Also on the other side, as far as actually SMU was -6. Okay, that's bad. And whenever a team is -6, that game should be a blowout. That's a game that any team should like lose big. Well, guess what? They did not. They somehow won that game, which I think actually says a lot. But yeah, but actually getting back here. So you're going to give me a 7.5 on an actual Pittsburgh team that's actually 7-0. This just has to be like a max play, right? I think definitely not. This Pitt team, y'all seem really actually high on. I'm actually not as high on actually them. I've been waiting for a spot to just fade them. And like last week, as far as actually pick sixes, I actually think they had 3.
First half.
Yeah, it's just actually like as far as the offense, plainly just it honestly didn't do shit. And this to me is just a perfect fade spot. As far as the model loves them too, it has them at -10.2 here. I'm actually going to wait here. I think this line it is actually going to go down. Probably going to see 7s. Probably actually like across the actual board here. I doubt it dips lower than actually that. But I'm going to be on actually SMU here. I'm not sure exactly, like I said, how yet, but I'm definitely going to be on them.
So more to come from JD. Make sure you guys are in the Moneyball Metrics Discord to find out officially what he is on. Also, make sure you're following Line Movers LLC on X, on Twitter, on the Bluebird, whatever the hell you call the app. Make sure you're following JD. You will be able to find out what he is going to be going with in this game. Let's keep it moving right along, fellas, to the next game we're going to be breaking down, which is another big one. Texas A&M coming in off a huge win over LSU. They are taking on South Carolina, who has been very stingy at home. Monotone. We'll start with you again. What do you like in this Texas A&M South Carolina game?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say the place you always want to start out is we're talking about a game, right, with a 4-3 team going up against theoretically one of the scariest teams in the country, and they're only 2.5-point favorites in this one, which I think might be surprising a lot of people. But South Carolina has been brutal to bet against so far this year. If you've had any experience doing that, you wouldn't like it. This is one of the toughest defensive lines in the nation, and obviously games are won in the trenches. The biggest problem, I think, the other side, the other offensive line is not too good for South Carolina. So it does offset it. You love a team that can dominate in both trenches. They're kind of one-sided on that, and they get a lot of pressure. They got a couple guys going to the NFL next year, or at least in the near future, but it's kind of like, can they do enough on the offensive side of the ball? Because man, it gets a little one-dimensional, right? And Texas A&M has faced a variety of different tough offensive opponents. This is going to be a clear step down. So I kind of like the under in this game. I think it's going to be a bit ugly. If I had to pick a side, I'm definitely going South Carolina. Like going against them has been a bad strategy for me in the past. I think that defense can truly keep them in a game with anyone. And I just haven't seen enough on the Texas A&M side for me to be comfortable laying them at a heavy favorite. I do like the South Carolina quarterback Sellers to have an interception in this game. The only time he's missed this prop over his last 5 starts was that dominant 35-9 win last week when they absolutely took care of business, and there was no real need to throw the ball, right? There's not going to be interception opportunities when you don't need to throw. The spread is clearly telling us something different. 2.5 points. It's going to be a close game right here. They're obviously going to be a run first team, but hell, even earlier in the year against Kentucky, they won 31-6. He still had a pick in that game somehow. Like the guy is not a good passer. He's just point blank not a good passer. It's going to be an ugly game. Both teams are going to try to run a lot. So I do like the interception for the prop game.
I should have went before you do because I feel the exact same way you do on the total. My favorite play by far in this game is the under. Texas A&M may have the best defensive line in football. All of them. The depth of that team, they are unbelievable. And I think both teams, like you said perfectly, are going to be pounding the rock, trying to limit the other team's possessions and try to move the ball slowly, methodically down the field to get in the end zone. And that's exactly what we will see here. That's why we're seeing somewhat of a lower total in this game as it sits at 44 even, but that doesn't scare me that it's a low total. I actually love it. Give me the under. And we have a couple comments in here before we go to JD. The game opened up at 3.5. They took a big amount of money on there. Will it ever hit 3 again? It all depends how the money comes in on this game. It's a bit interesting because this one reminds you of the UCF game last week against BYU, right? Where everyone was like, why is UCF favored? This makes no sense. The sharp side has to be on UCF. I took that bait. Be the first to admit it. I lost. This year, when you see these trap lines, it doesn't mean it's necessarily a trap. That's the one thing I'm going to say. We may see this line go back up to 3, but if you do like Texas A&M, the one recommendation I will make is to take the money line at a -135. I wouldn't mess around with the points when they're teetering in between 1 to 3. I would take the money line for some insurance there, but my favorite play by far in this game is the under 44. JD, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I actually have no extra play here. I think this is a really tough game. This should be a really good game. But as far as actually like A&M, they got a big win actually like last week.
Yeah, they did.
And so this is definitely what would be considered an actual like letdown spot here. But when I look at the matchup though, as far as South Carolina, they're going to want to run the extra ball here. And that's just, I just don't think that's going to work out well. So for me, there's one of the biggest keys here. And then actually, like as far as South Carolina goes, it seems like the whole world seems to be on them. As far as that line move, we've seen a big move here. Will this reach 3 again? I really doubt that. And so far, I'm just off this actual game here. I really have no strong take. If the line comes down more, though, if actually like the A&M, as far as the money line, if it gets in that that minus like 120 range to minus 115, I'm probably going to have to jump in though.
I feel that. All right, boys. Well, that's going to be the breakdown for the A&M South Carolina game. We have one game left of college football that we are going to be breaking down, and that is going to be the Louisville-Clemson game that has a ridiculously high 62.5 point or 62.5 line currently for the total, opened at 61.5. But let's break down the matchup. Louisville comes into this game 5-3. They're 3-2 in conference, taking on Clemson, who's coming in 11th in the country, 6-1 overall, and 5-0 in the ACC. Monotone. Any action from you in this game? What do you like about the Louisville-Clemson game?
Yeah, I was telling you guys before, this is a tough one for me. Clemson's been brutal in my betting history. I'm a lifelong kind of Clemson fan for no real strong reason besides when I was 3, I picked orange teams. There we go. That's what I was going for, 3-year-old me. So I've always liked Clemson, but betting on them this season's been kind of tough. I was low on them off the bat. Then they kind of turned things around. The only thing I'll probably be looking at Klubnik in terms of the rushing department, maybe longest rush in particular, if you do have that bet available. He's been breaking off these explosive runs, not only in terms of scrambles, but also they're getting him designed runs, which is key. They're kind of opening up that offense, giving a little pressure off of Maffa as well. And then also you can always have one of those scrambles that kind of breaks off into a crazy long play. That happens all the time in college. That's why I love betting these rushing props. So in terms of the spread, if I had to, I'm leaning dog once again. At 10.5, I haven't seen enough from Clemson, even as a guy that is kind of a fan of them, to put this away. Especially on the ground. I feel like there's times where they should have dominated a lot more, and that really hasn't been the case so far this year. So Louisville has an offense. They can stay in games. I don't mind, Brooks over there at wide receiver. They've got a solid team. So if I had to, it'd be dog or pass, but I'm not going to be betting the spread in this one.
This game is going to be a no action for me. If I were to take anything, it would be the over. I do think we're going to see a lot of points. The total is reflective of that. I do like to take overs on very high totals and unders on very low totals in college football. This one does fit the bill. You put it perfectly. Brooks for Louisville has been fantastic. He does have 8 touchdowns on the year. On the other side, Williams for Clemson has been great in the passing game as well. He also has 5 touchdowns. The rushing attack, these teams have scored on the ground as well. Each team has scored at least 8 rushing touchdowns this year. So I think we will see a ton of points, but officially no play from me. If I had to pick something, it would be the over. JD, any action from you before we get on to the NFL action?
Yeah, Clemson has kind of quietly been playing really well. I feel like, they actually lost their first game and they got beat down there. And I feel like we haven't really heard much about him since. So that's why I say kind of like quietly, like playing really well. It's, really actually as far as their offense has, I mean, like they're just rolling now. And then they're playing Louisville here, which in the ACC they're giving up over actually 6 yards actually like per actual play, which is obviously there's definitely not good. And actually they've been giving up big plays too. Then you have Clemson, and Clemson, they like to start out fast.
Yep.
They lead everybody, and they're actually averaging 26.6 first half points. They've just been coming out fast and actually just putting it on teams. Versus this defense, Louisville, I just don't see them being able to really stop them here. These numbers to me they just seem a little too good. I'm a little bit scared by this. But give me the Clemson first half team total over. Looks like you can get a 19.5. And I just think that's way too low here.
JD crushes these team total over, especially in the first half. So I definitely would tail him if you guys are into those. Love that pick. Gentlemen, we do have one more game to break down, which is going to be the NFL game. But before we do, over to the comments. Jess is here per usual. Jess, we appreciate you asking if we have any action in the Memphis UTSA game. Oh, she's interested in the over. I currently have not broken down that game yet, so I'm not even going to lie to you. I do not have action in it quite yet. Do either of you guys have any action on it?
Nope.
More to come. Make sure you guys tune into the Discord. There may be a pick on this game, so make sure you join MoneyBall Metric Discord. Over to the best soccer capper in the world, besides when he gives out Stuttgart -2 the other day. Footy, we appreciate you tuning in. He's saying he's going to need the Unabomber to break down Penn State, Ohio State. We broke it down, Footy. You're late. You can rewind and check it out. Let's keep it moving, fellas. Last game we are breaking down. And like I said, any other comments, put them in the chat. It's a little dark in here, so I'm struggling to read with these stupid glasses on, but I'm doing my best for you guys. Roger Federer is here. Let's get it, guys. Second game, or final game we're going to be breaking down is going to be the Texans at the Jets. It is the Thursday night football game. Stinky, stinky line here. Stinky, stinky line. The 6-2 Texans are coming into this game as 2-point dogs against the Jets in New York. Monotone, we're going to start with you. What do you like about this game?
Yeah, I don't know if the people are going to like what I like in this game, but it's a bunch of unders. I like the total under 42.5. I think you mentioned it. The line is ugly. When you first look at it, you go Jets is favorite after that performance last week. Like there's no way you want to do that. But then you go back in time a little bit. You look, CJ Stroud's worst career performance did come in a 30-6 loss against the Jets, where he had no answers for the secondary. That is the same secondary as this year. It's the same group of guys you're going to be seeing once again. Obviously now add, a little bit of an improved offense, or actually, the Jets have an improved offense. You don't, right? You're down Nico Collins now. You're down Stephon Diggs. You're turning to a lot of secondary wide receivers outside of Tank Dell, who already hasn't been fantastic so far this year. So it's one of those things where I'm seeing a real ugly game. And if you think the market's right, because I don't really love the Jets as favorites. That's not something I'm ever going to do, to be completely honest with you. That's not like a bet I'm going to make this season. But if the market's right here, how do you see the Jets winning an over game here? Like, this is going to be ugly. Both teams have very strong defensive lines. The Texans have looked even better getting Autry back. They're top 5 in pressure rate. They're top 5 in sack rate. They're a strong defensive line. I think it's going to be a lot of short passing, a lot of running from both sides. I don't see a very offensive focused game. So for, in terms of spreads and totals, I like the under in this one at 42.5.
Monotone, I'm a little nervous, my brother. I'm a little nervous because you and I are lock and step, lock and key today. I am all over the under in this spot. I think you put it perfectly. With the injuries on the Texans' offensive side, they will be forced to run the ball pretty heavily tonight with Joe Mixon. I think we see a mega Joe Mixon game. So if you're into props, Joe Mixon overs, I would definitely be inclined to take. But back on just the total here, the Jets are going to do the same game plan. Aaron Rodgers just has made too many mistakes this year to just let him drop back throw the ball 50 times. They need to utilize the running attack, and that's the best way to get against the Texans. So I do think we will see a big Joe Mixon game, and I do think we will see a lot of running in this game. So give me the under 42.5. Definitely my favorite play on the entire slate today in any sport. I know Best Bets is coming soon. I'll let you know. This is definitely one of mine. I love the under 42.5. JD, please tell us it's a family three-way. Don't tell me you're taking the over.
These are actually Thursday night games and then the Monday night games. I have been absolutely killing those. But I got to say, for this game, I want nothing to do with this game whatsoever.
Oh, hold on. We got to do the thing.
Do it.
We did the thing. There it is.
Did it. Okay. But just like a little bit about the game, though. The number to me, like everybody says, it doesn't really make sense. To me, the number actually does make sense. As far as actually power ratings go, it's weird, but these teams are actually even. And then you give them home field. So the Jets as a small favorite here, it actually does make sense. As I said back here a few weeks ago, I said that I'm not going to be able to back them, though. I'm just not going to. And actually, that has worked out well. And I'm still not going to. They just still haven't shown it to me.
Yeah,
here.
I agree.
But saying all that, for them, this is basically a must-win game. So them being favored, I like CY here. But also the Jets themselves are also really banged up here.
Yep.
They have a lot of guys out. So for me, these are two teams that I honestly don't actually really want to back either team.
Yep.
So for me, this is a very easy pass.
There you go. Well, I do have a question you cannot pass on, JD, because we're going to start with you over to the comments. Garrett Wilson over yards is his favorite prop of the day for Joe. What do you think about that? Do you think they got Davante Adams right because they've adjusted the lines? Currently on FanDuel, Davante Adams is at 58.5, while Garrett Wilson's at 59.5. Another couple ones that stick out to me here. Tank Dell, 56.5 seems low, as he seems real only deep threat today. And Bobby Woods, Robert Woods on the Texans, his yardage prop is only 17.5. So somebody's going to have to catch the ball for some place tonight for the Texans. We'll start actually with monotone. What do you think about Garrett Wilson's yards and then potentially maybe the Robert Woods? Any other props you like out of those?
Yeah, I see your argument. I disagree personally. I think especially this matchup is going to make a lot more short passing necessary. There's going to be a lot of pressure. We already mentioned Jets O-line isn't the best in the world. You got a top 10 pressure rate team on the other side. Garrett Wilson's new role is more down the field action. It's more deeper developing routes. That's going to be tougher when the other team is constantly in your quarterback's face. I think that's going to create a lot more short passes. And I think when you look at short passing, I'd much prefer Davante Adams, the guy that's ran out of the slot with Aaron Rodgers for years, versus a guy in Garrett Wilson who he seemingly doesn't have great connection with, and I'm just not trusting those downfield passes. So that's my take on those two wide receivers. Your Robert Woods thing is interesting. It's hard to hate. I mean, at 17.5, you mentioned it, someone has to catch a pass. The alternative I'll throw out is Mechie. Obviously, a former college football standout, has battled some health problems, both out of the draft and then obviously beating cancer last year. A tremendous story to look at. He came in last game late, had 4 targets immediately, was consistently involved off the bat. I think that's a sneaky guy that, Robert Woods doesn't have any juice left. Let's just say it point blank.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So Mechie has some juice at least. And I think it's 22.5 yards. I think that's probably worth a couple bucks, but this secondary is really tough. I'm mostly avoiding the wide receivers in this game.
I don't blame you. And little update on that line. It's moved down on FanDuel to 20.5 on Mechie. So if you do like that, I personally think that's a great find. Monotone, these all could hit on these low receiving yardage totals for these guys. They can all catch a 25-yard pass over the middle, and that's going to cash almost any of the Texans receiver props outside of Tank Dell. So I definitely understand why you would go and think that way. JD, what do you think?
As far as these receiving props for this game, like I said, to me, this is just a really tough game. I don't have any really actually strong take here. Just like Joe said, the Garrett Wilson, that's how I would go if I absolutely had to. But yeah, for me, I just really do not have a strong take here.
I get that. Well, that's going to do it then for our breakdown, but we still have a couple things we have to get into. First and foremost, we have the spooky savings, get the full access 1 week pass from MoneyBall Metrics. The Moneyball Metrics team, I believe, profited at least 10 units last night. They've been absolutely on fire. Everyone in the Discord has been killing it. Shoot a DM to Moneyball Metrics on Twitter. Get the special promo code that we will send over to you and get in the Discord. The best community out there. You're going to want to be in there. Get the savings. Come in and hang out with the best environment, the best community, the best team there is. We expect to see you guys in there soon, and we appreciate you guys. And with that being said, it is time to get to everybody's favorite part of the show. We got a little spooky best bets version. Monotone, we're going to start with you as our special guest. You have one, do you have two? How many best bets do you have for the people today?
Yeah, I've got two best bets. I got two props I like a lot. One college football, one NFL. Does it matter which order we go in here?
No, not at all.
Okay, sounds good. For college football, I took Sellers to throw an interception in that South Carolina game we talked about earlier. We both talked about defense on both sides of the ball. This is a line I legitimately thought was going to be minus 160, minus 170 when I opened it up. I played his interception before. Like I said, the only miss is coming in a game where they absolutely blew out the other team, and there was no reason to pass the ball. This isn't going to be the case. They're going to try to run the ball all game, but they're going to have to pass at least a little bit. We're going to be able to take advantage of that with an interception. I love interceptions in college football. A great way to target these kind of running quarterbacks that are out of their element and are going to be forced to put the ball in the air in some of these tougher defensive focus games. So give me the interception at minus 110.
I love it. All right. Well, then let me jump into my best bets then. What I got, guys, is I'm going with Penn State plus the 3.5. That's my favorite play. And then my favorite play, yet again, the second best bet is going to be the under 42.5 in that Jets-Texans game. JD, what do you got?
Yep. I'm going to have two. We actually just went over both these games here. I believe we have kind of like a squad right here. Give me the Penn State plus actually 3.5. You can still find that at actually minus 110 at actually some shops here. Then my favorite play from all of these, definitely give me the Clemson first half team total over excuse me, team total over 19.5 at minus 115.
There we go.
Then also, like Alpha was talking about, that sale we have running now, I'm going to actually have that link pinned.
There we go.
So, yep, you actually be able to find it there.
So you don't have to bother anybody by DMing the Discord. You'll be able to just jump right in there, get the picks, and come cash with the team. We're going to stay on for about another 10, 15 seconds. You guys can see the best bets that we have on the board for today. I have Penn State plus 3.5 in the under in the Thursday night game. JD also on the Penn State plus 3.5, and he's on the Clemson first half team total over. And Monotone Football is on the interception from Sellers, as well as the under with me tonight in the NFL game. Guys, we want to wish everybody a happy Halloween. We appreciate everyone who comes in here, hangs out with us every day. And yet again, we appreciate all of you guys. JD, anything to say to the people for Halloween before we get out of here?
Yes, I hope everybody has a fun and safe night. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Monotone, keep looking beautiful. We appreciate you on the show today. Guys, if you don't already follow Monotone, make sure you do. He's one of the sharpest football minds there is. You see his @ right there, @ Monotone Football. Guys, we will be back tomorrow with our NFL edition show. Like I said, we appreciate all of you guys. Enjoy Halloween, and we'll see you at noon Eastern tomorrow. Peace!